Welcome to Milk Honey Rose. So I realized in the last video, I know I mentioned what is the west or the western part of the body. Okay, because that is the download that I got while I was channeling the message to you all. And I looked it up after the fact because I realized that there was so much coming to me in that message that I was trying to stay on track. And I got a little sidetracked with the side notes. And then it came back to me that I wanted to look at that. And I found that the western part of the body is considered the forearm and the hands. Okay, the limbs, the upper limbs it was called. Okay. And excuse me. How that aligns with the previous message is, well, the first thing I heard once I realized what the western part of the body is considered as, it made me think about everything that your hand touches turns to gold. Okay. And that is how life is meant to be. It comes with consistency. It comes with patience with self as well as with others around you. Because we know how patience goes. It's not always easy to be patient. However, we all must experience patience because patience is a part of life. It comes with the package. It's a package deal. Okay. It just doesn't feel like too much of a deal when you're first learning how to manage patience, because it could be difficult. Okay. Now back to the arm, the forearm, and the hands. What we get into, the actions that we take, has a lot to do with hand and eye coordination, is what I'm picking up. Hand and eye coordination. What your eyes see, you might want to touch. What you touch, you're going to want to see. Right? If your eyes see something you like, you're like, oh, let me see. The first thing you want to do is touch. Right? And if you feel something, but your eyes are not open, you're going to want to look like, what's that? If you feel something, like imagine you laying down on your bed and your eyes are closed and you're falling asleep and you feel a little tickle on your hand, you're going to look like, what's that? Right? Right. So now I'm getting, be careful what you allow yourself to see because you might want to touch it. This is funny how it's coming out, but listen, let me just tell you. This is serious, but it just made me laugh. Okay? Let me be stoic. Right? But seriously, we do have to be mindful of that because everything we see is not really good for us to touch. Now, I was going to say everything we touch is not good to see, but that doesn't make any sense. I don't know. That part is messing with my brain. Because what if you touch something unintentionally? You know, your hand grazes over something and the texture is different. You're like, what's that? You know, I feel like that's okay. But in a different context, then it gets strange. But I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not going to deep dive into that too much. Just be careful about what you give your attention to, what you take action towards, okay? Because our hands have power, okay? Our hands are very powerful. Many of you are artisans. Many of you can paint, you can draw, you can sculpt, you might have a good arm, like you could throw. You have a strong arm, okay? Many of you might even know how to fight. Okay. It just has to do with the hands. Many of you know how to write. Many of you know how to create. Many of you are creators, right? So what you see links up with your consciousness, and then it is stored in your subconscious mind, and it becomes a belief that you begin to pull from and live by. Therefore, it is likely that you will gravitate towards what you've perceived already, and eventually you will take action with your hands. So there are certain things that we will be exposed to, and then we have to make the choice as to if we are going to move forward and take action on that thing or not. There must be a filter. If we don't have a filter, we're going to have trouble. Okay. We need a filter. We need the filter. Become your filter. And when you become your filter, you become your own shield. You become your own protector. Right? Because think about a parent and a child. A parent protects the child. The parent is the shield of the child. Right? Right. The protector. The parent teaches the child also how to protect themselves through the decisions that they make, the friends that they choose, the clothes that they wear, the foods that they eat. Whatever is consumed, no matter if it is spiritually or any other consumption. Okay. It's what we take action towards that identifies your frequency. We're going into the realm of frequency now. Okay. So if you are moving in a way where you are taking action in activities that hold a lower frequency, your energy will lessen, your auric field will weaken, you will begin to have holes in your auric field, and you will be leaking energy. It's just going to be leaking and leaking, and it could be leaking from the person that is in the closest proximity to you. So if you're in a relationship, it's going to be the person that you're in a relationship with, no matter if you are married or if you're just, I was going to say dating that person, but I don't even know if that's a thing anymore because things have gotten weird. Okay, so I'm just going to say relationship, however that may be, platonic or not. Okay. It's usually the closest person to you, not always, but just someone who you are around often, you speak to often, you share space and time with this person. And if you're around a person and you begin to feel tired, stressed, aggravated, annoyed, fed up, disgusted, like you look at them like, why? Why are you still here? Okay, that is someone who is poking holes in your auric field, weakening you, and each hole they poke becomes a vulnerability. You become vulnerable, and these types of energies will hit you where it hurts. And I say that in such a way where it's like in the heart space, in your emotions. So pulling on your strings to get you to feel like you did something wrong. Okay. it's a flip and reverse psychology type situation here. And this is why it's very important to filter. Filter has a lot to do with discipline. That's basically what it is when, you boil it down and you get the truth. The filter is discipline. Now, many people don't like that word because it feels permanent. It feels definite. And people, like to do what they want. And many people don't like to follow rules. So anything that is blatantly telling someone what to do could make a person want to fall back from that opportunity. And discipline is often not seen as an opportunity. It's seen as a rule, an obligation. And anytime you start talking about rules, I think it's likely that many people are just going to want to break them. Like, how about I just break it so then I don't have to do it? But then those people that think like that, even though, I'm not going to go in that direction because it's going to take me away. But those people who think like that without utilizing their own filter for them to know what to accept or what to refuse, it's hard for them to make good decisions for themselves because, how can I say, instead of thinking about the best option for them in that moment, they often just go along with what they feel under the restraints of impulse. And impulse doesn't give you time to think. Impulse is impulsive. Okay. It's like right now, that's what I said. That's what I want to do, even if it's not right for me. But it was my decision. I made it. And because I'm saying the opposite of what you said, now I feel like I've won, even though in many cases, those individuals who think that way, they end up losing because they didn't actually give themselves a chance to think and really consider the consequences that could take place from the action that they took with those hands and those eyes. Okay? Pay attention to your actions. Be mindful of what you are drawn to figure out why you're drawn to it. If you are drawn to something that is not beneficial to you, because that's something that only you can filter that. People could talk all day and tell you be disciplined and tell you, no, don't press the red button. And most times, when you watch a movie, somebody pressed the red button. This is just human nature. We have a rebelliousness to us that many often act upon. Not thinking about I got distracted. Not thinking about how they'll be affected in the long run because they're not thinking long term. They keep thinking short term, and that is affecting their well-being. Now, there's another aspect of this, and that has to do with temptation. It's not always a person. Sometimes it's an object. Sometimes it's a substance. Sometimes it's a certain behavior. Sometimes it's doing something that you know is not right, but doing it anyway. Things like that. Even though many of those things that I just mentioned are not tangible, you can't touch them with your hands. However, you could still act upon them spiritually, I should say. You could still act upon them. You could act upon a thought. If you have a thought begins as a thought. That's intangible, but the more you think it, the more you're going to want to act on it. And eventually your hands and your eyes will see exactly what it is that you've been thinking about. And that is likely to lead to the touch. Okay? Into the actual action. Okay? So this message is in alignment with the previous message because this download actually came to me in that message. And that message was about the abundance that is due. Okay, there's abundance that has been actually waiting for you. It's already there. You have to do the thing. When you do the thing to go get the abundance that has been waiting for you, that just means that you've been taking the right action to get to it. It reminds me of Pac-Man. You know? The little Pac-Mans go through the maze, get the fruit, try not to get eaten. And the objective is to get all the pellets and as much points as possible. But if you go the wrong way, you're going to get eaten. That's what it's making me think about. I'm seeing it in my mind. I could hear the sound in my mind of the game right now. And I see it in my mind. And then when they start flashing, then the Pac-Mans are free and they can't get eaten for a couple of seconds, right? In what moment in life do you not have to worry about getting eaten? I'm correlating life to Pac-Man right now. Okay, so let's see. At what point do you not have to worry about getting eaten? During the moments of safety. And when is that? I don't know. This is actually a deep question for me because I don't know how to answer it exactly. But I think it has a lot to do with the decisions that you make. Yeah, that's it. It's the decisions. It's the choices that you make. And it is what you choose to put your hands on, what you choose to touch. In many instances in life, many individuals have gotten in trouble because of what they chose to touch. And sometimes, once one starts touching, they have a hard time stopping. Okay? And this can bring about destruction because, say for instance, it's a person that you're spending a lot of time with and that person is no good for you. If you continue to shake hands with this person and open the door for this person, spend time with this person, even time spent can cause you to be spent. You will feel spent. No energy left. Okay, no energetic currency. It will all be gone and drained away, and you will wonder, why do I feel like this? And it's because that person that you've been with has been poking holes in your auric field for as long as you've allowed them to be around you. I just got the question is, if you knew that you were feeling weaker, why did you let them stay? And that's a question for you to ask yourself. Why did you let them stay? Once you answer that question and you're sure about it, then you know that that is what you want to work on because that's the root of the problem. You have to pull things from the root in order for them to go away. Otherwise, they're going to keep growing. Okay? That's a plant. No plants. I love plants, but not the type of plant that causes destruction. Those plants must be uprooted. That is no longer a plant. That's a weed. The weed. Some of you have weeds in your life. And you know what weeds do, right? They suck up the nutrients from the other vegetation around them so that they can continue to be. It's just that weeds don't serve much of a purpose. They're just a part of the spectrum in life. Okay, the favorable and unfavorable. But weeds are just weeds. So weeds don't provide, they just take, okay? So many of you have had individuals in your life who do not serve for anything or anyone, not even themselves. They don't have value. They lack. Okay, they're lacking. And so these individuals that are around you that are lacking, they haven't been serving any purpose in your life. And you, on the other hand, you are full of value. You are purposeful. Your actions are pure, because it's likely that you actually had some type of feeling towards these individuals to keep them around. It's just that it wasn't reciprocated. Okay. Now, this is when the filter comes in, the filter that I was talking about before. When you recognize how you feel when you're around these weeds in your life, these individuals who have no value because they don't care to. Clearly, they feel that they're entitled to your energy, so they'll just be there and they will suck you dry. Okay? You're going to have no moisture left. None. Going to be like a raisin at that point. A raisin in the sun. A raisin is already shriveled. And in the sun, then you're just going to be dried up. You're going to turn to dust. Eventually, if you stay around those types of people, you're better off using your filter so that you can eliminate the toxicity in your life. Because that toxicity, it actually calls in more toxicity and more and more and more. So much so that it's going to be difficult for you to breathe, and it's going to feel like you're underwater. I don't think that's what you want. I don't think that's what you want. So, let's see. Is there anything else? The longer you're underwater, the more control I have over you. It's like many of these individuals know that if you're in a certain state of being, they have more control over you. Okay? You become vulnerable, and when one becomes vulnerable, they're easier to control. Simple. So, the less vulnerable you are, emotionally, even physically as well, the less likely they'll be able to control you. Many of these individuals are so good that they could trick people into thinking that they're doing something for them. But that's not the case. It's actually the opposite. They need you, but they'll trick the one that they need into thinking that the one that is needed is the one that needs. You see how tricky that could be? I know, it is tricky. This is why that download came to me about what is the western part of the body, and it is the hands and the forearm. And that also consists of the wrist and the fingers. Okay? So, be mindful, be aware that you have the ability to spiritually and physically protect yourself, because at this time, there are many individuals who are lacking and they need people like you to survive, because they don't know how to do that on their own. They've been living this way for so long that they've become that energy. That energy has become them. So, it is only them that could get them out of that way of being. People could talk all day to that type of individual, but it doesn't mean that they're going to listen. It doesn't mean that. So, you do what you have to do for you. And that really starts with what you give your actions to. What have you been giving your actions to? What have you been focusing on? Where have you been putting your energy? Does that serve you? It's okay if it's in the long term. There's also short-term benefits to long-term investments as well, depending on how you look at it. Having something to look forward to, because you know what it is. You know how it's going to benefit you. That is a benefit, to know that from the work that you did now, you are going to benefit greatly later. That's a positive thought that you could feed off that. And not in a weird, creepy, vampiric way. I just mean more like morale. It could build your morale in your life, towards yourself. It could build confidence. That's what it's about. But it's healthy. It's not toxic. It's not messy. It's not any of that. I know. I'm not even going to go there. However, I think that's the message. I think that's it for that one. Let me just see for just a second. Make sure there's nothing else left. I heard jazz fingers and jazz fingers. Okay. Take care of your hands. What's up with that? Take care of your hands. Somebody needs a hand massage? Take care of your hands. Maybe somebody wants to go get their nails done. Okay. Maybe somebody needs a massage. Somebody's tense. That's what I'm getting. Oh, maybe someone wants to be a masseuse. Okay. Or you are. And if you are, you're really good at it. People appreciate you. Okay. You know what to do with those hands of yours, don't you? I know. I'm picking that up. Okay. So yeah. That's it for this message. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And I will see you in the next one.